I've done several other studies rebuking Zionism and those who support it in more detail. This message will be brief and contain miscellaneous insights pertaining to Zionism, which were not necessarily directly given in previous studies, or which I choose to reiterate here. God's warning to Israel in Leviticus 18 not to do abominable things, so that the land does not spew them out as it was going to spew out the Canaanites, is a clear warning that God did not give Canaan to the descendants of natural Israel unconditionally. This was also a key implication with the captain of the Lord's host appearing to Joshua in Joshua chapter 5, and in John the Baptist's warning to the Jews in the Gospels, think not to say within yourselves, we have Abraham to our father. To be a Zionist is to deny the significance of God's decisive judgment on the Jewish nation in AD 70, which Jesus and the apostles warned of, and Malachi chapter 4 warns of. Jeremiah chapter 23 verse 40 proves that God's wrath has not and will not cease from the Jewish people in their rejection of the authority of his word. Jeremiah 6:8 says, Be thou instructed, O Jerusalem, lest my soul depart from thee, lest I make thee desolate, a land not inhabited. Zionists do not receive this. That is why they apply Psalm 122 to Jerusalem today. Those who apply Psalm 122 to modern Jerusalem now are basically confessing that they are spiritual brethren and companions of Jews in their rejection of Jesus Christ. Read the psalm and explain how that statement could be wrong. God said in Isaiah 65, verse 15, that he would make the disobedient Israelites a curse to his chosen. Ezekiel chapter 23, verses 45 to 49, proves that righteous men cannot be committed Zionists. Isaiah 58:14 clearly teaches that Israel receiving the heritage of his father Jacob is conditional. Hosea chapter 9 is another great sword to Zionism. So is the final verse of Deuteronomy chapter 30. The Jews have no right to Palestine because they had been tenants in the land and they broke their covenant with the landowner. Jesus spoke a parable about this in the Gospels. The land was also divided by tribes. The records concerning Israel's 12 tribes don't exist anymore. 1 Kings chapter 9 verses 6 to 9 proves that it is proper now to regard Israel as a byword representing those cursed by God. The Jews who celebrate Hanukkah should consider during Hanukkah that the lights in the temple did cease to burn in AD 70 and have never been rekindled since. Modern Israel is no better than the Philistines, Moabites, Ammonites, etc., who opposed Israel in Old Testament times. Wicked Jews were even likened to the uncircumcised right in the Old Testament. Jeremiah chapter 9, verses 25 and 26. Jews who are wicked Jews are called uncircumcised in heart like the heathen. The commonly cited words in Isaiah chapter 66, which the Zionists will use to justify modern Israel being of God, do not apply to Israel now. Modern Israel was not born in a day, nor was it born miraculously. The Zionist movement began in the 19th century. It begat modern Israel through much travail which included treachery, bribery, terrorism, theft, and murder. Anyone who really believes that Jesus Christ is God and believes that God had anything to do with the judgments upon the Jews through the Babylonians and the Romans, which removed the Jews from the land, must acknowledge that Jesus Christ is an anti-Zionist, or they are illogical. The ethnic Jews are the original terrorists in the modern Arab-Israeli conflict. Israel has no more right to defend itself in its present circumstances than a family has to defend itself in a house which it has violently seized from its rightful occupants. 1948 was Satan's restoration of Israel, not God's, proven by how God's own moral law was violated innumerably in the events which directly caused this restoration to happen. 1948 to the present has been a continuous ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians. It is truly the Schofield Reference Bible which made Zionism the normal belief of the modern Western evangelical Christian. It makes sense that Cyrus Schofield and the most prominent teachers in Christendom today, most or all of which teach Zionism, would be bankrolled by Zionists. Every Zionist Bible teacher is a broken compass, no matter what good things they say. Many Jews actually believe that rejecting Jesus Christ is inherently part of being Jewish. Many others believe that too. It does seem like that, though it's not true. Jesus and the earliest Christians were faithful Jews. Modern Judaism, every branch of it, is disconnected from biblical Judaism. Faithful Christianity is not so. It is rather the faithful continuation of biblical Judaism. Since Christianity is the true continuation of Judaism, if Israel had received Jesus, it would have become a Christian nation. Like Titus 1:10 says, that there are many unruly and vain talkers, especially among the circumcision. This is the case now to an even greater degree regarding Jews and Judaizers in the professing Christian realm. You cannot obey the admonition of Micah 6:8 to do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with God if there is partiality in you. Zionism inherently promotes partiality. Lesson from 2 Corinthians chapter 6 verses 14 to 18 related to Zionism. You can't walk with the Lord in his grace while supporting and justifying the crowd which murdered him. 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verses 1 to 12. The Christ rejecting Jew must be rebuked in order to properly warn the professing Christians. A church without a strong testimony against modern Israel is surely failing. Christians don't call the Talmud hate speech like many Jews call the New Testament hate speech. They should call the Talmud hate speech, though. Jews will even lie to hide what the Talmuds actually say about Jesus. Judaism now is truly a religion of darkness. Identifying as a Jew religiously now is a statement that one is in agreement with the crucifixion of Jesus. The Good Samaritan story is a rebuke to the Jews, which many of them found offensive due to their partiality. It is no different now. Jewish criminals have a free, safe haven in Israel through Israel's right to return laws. The rabbi, and I have that in quotes, who was given the largest funeral ever in Israel in 2013, actually taught that Gentiles only exist to work for the Jew. Many Jews indeed think that blue collar work is beneath them. It is reasonable to believe that the Jews as an entity would close all churches and ban the New Testament if they could. Christianity is greatly opposed in Israel now, yet Israel protects Christians to some degree to put on a good face for America, whose aid it depends upon. Would Israel actually have its own pretend to be foreigners who murder and cause terror in order to draw America to help fight its war? It is already known to have happened. The Lavon affair of 1954. The media likely will not remind you of it. Modern Israel is truly an imposter people of God. Israel's very own flag proves that it is a satanic nation, an especially satanic one. The concept that the Christ rejecting Jews hold of their Messiah fits perfectly with how the Bible describes the Antichrist. Being a physical descendant of Abraham does not alone put one in covenant with God. Ishmael and Esau prove this. The Apostle Paul said this much in Romans chapter 9. Jews who don't obediently believe in Jesus Christ are not God's chosen people, nor among God's chosen people. It's that simple. The Jews who reject Jesus Christ are objects of God's wrath. John 3:36, Romans chapter 1 verses 16 to 18, etc. It is utter insanity for the Zionist professing Christians to think that Christ rejecting Jews are better than others who reject Jesus Christ. Zionism is a Jewish myth. We are commanded in Titus 1:14 to not give heed to Jewish fables in order to be sound in the Christian faith. Luke 19:27. Jesus says in the Gospels about what he will say when he returns. But those mine enemies, which would not that I should reign over them, bring hither or bring here and slay them before me.